Well, we're out here at Ely Springs allotment today doing branding part 2. There's about 440 cows in this allotment. There's 4 pastures. This pasture that we're in is pasture number 1. From that mountain over there to about the bottom of the valley, it's about 8 miles north and south and about 10 miles crossways. And then we have a little more finger of ground that kind of runs up through those mountains, so we call the sheep allotment. Today, instead of trailing all the cattle clear back to Four Corners where we were yesterday, we just set up this portable corral system here, pulled in some pickups and trailers, and caught the cattle at a more central location. There's a water tank just right over here to our left, and the cattle trailed to this water tank really easy. Then we were able to kick most of the cows out and then just start branding the calves. As we brand the calves, then we kind of let them go out of here. Sometimes they go out and sometimes they go back. A lot of times people want to know why we're branding and putting the hot iron on these cattle. I guess in my mind, it's just like a pickup truck having a title or everything having a serial number. You know where it belongs to. This is the legal form of identification for cattle in the state of Nevada. And some people think that cattle rustling is dead and gone, that happened in the old days. It happens all the time. A calf like that one laying on the ground right there is worth $800 to $1,000 right now. And I don't think it's any secret among cattlemen that they know what things are worth. When it's full grown and when we wean it, it'll probably be worth between $1,500 and $1,800. And the most appetizing or appealing group of cattle for people to rustle is unbranded calves. In the fall, when I'm bringing 30 head of calves short of what the mothers are out here, I always wonder where those calves went. Well, did a coyote or a mountain lion eat them? Maybe. Did they get lost or die? Maybe. But most likely, somebody else passing through or otherwise found an opportunity. And so by branding them, we reduce that opportunity for people to take them and sell them. If they didn't have a brand on them and they took them to an auction, there would be no questions asked. If they're branded, then they need a brand inspection, and the sale yard will say they'll need a bill of sale that correlates with our brand that we're putting on them. Little smaller crew than we had last week in Hico. I think a lot of people come and there's 30 people here, and then the next time we hold the branding, they say, oh, they got a lot of people, I'll stay home. So the ranch altogether is scattered over about 120 miles, and it's about 480,000 acres of total land, most of that being this BLM lease land. I guess things we have to manage on a desert operation like this is just making sure that the cattle have access to water and feed. Again, with that many acres and in this desert climate, the stocking rate's not that high. And we just kind of watch the stocking rate. Most of that's kind of figured over years of science with the AUMs and how they're calculated. Some of it has to do with the years, whether it's a drought year or it's raining that year. Today's actually really nice out here because the ground's wet. We had a great rainstorm yesterday. All this grass will take this moisture from the rainstorm yesterday and we'll get some growth. And so it's really good for this operation right here, the amount of rain that we got yesterday. So we're kind of just in a transition from dormant feeds in the winter to summer or spring feeds where these cattle will start getting a little more protein out of the growing grass and stuff. Usually I try to brand this herd, these southern herds, before May 1st. Everybody out here is in coats today and it's 50 something degrees probably, but usually it seems like May 1st the temperature always kicks up. Like if you go into May here, it'll be 90 degrees out here during the day, and we don't want to handle the cattle when it's that hot. We try to do it when the temperatures are cool. We kind of watch the heat index, which basically a combination of the temperature for the day and the humidity. And if it crosses a certain point, we won't work cattle. We'll have to do it early in the morning, like from 5 to 10 in the morning when it's cool, or we'll just have to wait for the temperature to come down. So today, even though it's a little stormy, it's a little windy, kind of a cold front behind that storm, it's a really great day for doing this because the stress level on the cattle is a lot lower having that temperature down. And then again, we love it because there's no dust. The ground's wet, has some moisture in it. So this morning, we're kind of a central location, like I said. We started riders basically in every direction, about 2 to 3 miles in every direction from here. And they knew that this was a central location, and so those cattle just kept coming in with the riders riders closer and closer until all the riders were able to help each other to kind of tighten that group of cattle. A lot of times what riders struggle with in big open country like this, and cattle want to spread out. They don't want to all bunch together. They want to stay separated and get somewhere where they don't feel the pressure from the people and the horses. And so if we work in teams or 3 people at a time, then we can have people get those cattle more concentrated into small groups. And then as they come closer to the central location, the small groups get mixed into larger groups. And then ultimately we work it all and are able to control them and get them into a corral system like this. And so this morning, as the groups were coming in, some people had to sit here and kind of be patient and wait for those guys that were farther away or had more cattle to come in. Again, with our crew, it's a combination of kids and people that are learning how to move cattle, and it's experienced people that can help them and train them. A little bit of a learning curve. When you get new people together and a new kind of crew, we kind of got to watch each other and play off what each other's doing to get it done right and correctly. So again, I know people gather cattle with different methods and bait them in with feed or 4-wheelers, motorcycles, stuff like that. From our perspective, handling them on horses is the easiest, least stressful on the cattle, and also with the terrain, it works well because you can go through the washes and go where you need to go, but ultimately it's the speed. You need to get up and turn the cattle or do something else, take your horse up to a trot or a lope for a little bit of time, make the cattle behave like you want, and then back them off. They're both herd animals, so the horse characteristics and the cattle characteristics, they don't stress each other out. They're kind of respect each other. Again, it's the way you train the cattle too. They're used to be working with horses. They know when the horses show up, hey, we got to lift up our head and go somewhere, so they kind of respond to that. Talking about this morning how the pickups and the cars could drive in here and the cattle could care less. They just look at them. Again, big desert country, a lot of people think that this kind of country, big open country, you have fast cattle, wild cattle. We don't like them that way. We like to handle them in a way that they're not stressed and they don't care that much about us being here. So